We're looking to answer the question, tell me about yourself. It's a very interesting question. It's probably the most common question you'll face. I'm going to use a slightly different format to answer this. I'm going to answer this as how I answered my questions back in 2001. I'm going to rejig this and see how I could have probably answered it better. Right? So this is how I did answer them. Rajesh, I come from Chennai, middle class family. Father was in bank, so studied in lots of schools. Did engineering after 12th standard, got into IIT Madras, electrical engineering, finished my course, got CGF 7.1, wanted to do MBA, so I wrote CAT. I'm very enthusiastic bridge player. I'm a very, very keen player. I like playing bridge a lot. I also like solving puzzles, math puzzles, logical puzzles, all of them. I'm very keen to do an MBA. That's it. And then I would wait for them to start asking questions. Right? There's a number of small mistakes that are there. I'm going to talk about the mistakes and all later. I'm going to just give an alternative version of how I could have answered that, so that you can see the difference between what was and what might have been. Right? I'm Rajesh. I'm an engineer. Finished graduating from IIM Madras, and I'm an electrical engineer. Coming from a middle class family, I got the opportunity to travel and study in a lot of schools because my father was in banks. It was a very useful experience. Got a flavor of a lot of places in India. Towards the final part of my schooling, I veered towards engineering because I was naturally good at math. Somehow it's a conceived notion in our country that if you're good at math, you should do engineering. I'm no different. My family was no different. I quite enjoyed the learning part in engineering. But I realized that I was more interested in probably the aspects of running a company and probably one day starting my own company. So I've slowly veered towards management education. I'm very keen to do an MBA from a top school, which is why I took up CAT and did that. My preference for math, my liking for math was lent itself to thinking about probabilities and chances and all that. So while in college, I picked up bridge. I was actually the captain of the bridge team at IIT Madras. So I really was fascinated by the game. And I took it up in all seriousness. So I'm a passionate bridge player. I enjoy solving puzzles in my free time. I do a lot of thinking and creating math puzzles. That's my hobby. I'm an avid reader. I read a lot of books, fiction and non-fiction. So the content is broadly similar. I'm not saying anything new. There's nothing new to say about my own life. What went wrong with my previous answer was in phases. There's no lead for them to ask a question. I'm very eager to talk about my bridge because I have something to hide. I mentioned that I got 7.1 as a CGPA, apologetic about it. If you don't know what to say, I don't want them to ask and find it out, so I'm saying it. Right? Almost like a part confessional, part jilted answer. It doesn't want you to make you feel like answering a question. Right? Even my second answer leaves a lot to be decided. I can fine tune a lot. But back then, my exposure was very limited. If I had to answer this question now, I'd probably talk about a lot more things. But when I was an engineer in 2001, I was a limited guy. So this is the best I could have done with what I had in hand back then. But think about, just tell me about your answers. This is a pitch document. It's like saying, look, these are the things I like to talk about. This is why I'm a good guy. This is why I'm a very likable guy, the guy who you want to have coffee with, to talk with. And not a series of answers. It's definitely not a confessional. And you don't have to worry about ticking boxes and recalling your CV. It has to be conversational, where you communicate something about yourself. There has to be some flow, some story. You think about constructing an answer, which is a pitch. It's a little bit of, not a little bit, completely reality, but woven nicely together into a pitch for saying, look, I'm a nice guy. That's how we want to rephrase your stories, your answers. So keep that in mind.